Yeah, so hey, my name is Noam. The company is called Widdit. What we do is not exactly a site. It's we have basically we power monetization for various applications. It can be either on the web or on mobile, especially on Android. And I think you've mentioned retargeting. I think that you do a little bit of generalization. Retargeting is basically, I think the way that you phrased it is almost everything. And in other words, it's basically aiming to show relevant content to the right people in the right time. It obviously serves advertising, but for us, it mainly serves experience. We want to be able to show our users that are using our applications or that using applications that have our components in there. We want to be able to create a very cool experience around it. We want to be able to show relevant content recommendations or anything else that might be relevant and can be monetized. And for this, you do need to collect a lot of data and be able to analyze it. I know that for us, we have a very large user base worldwide. We generate crazy amounts of records every day. It's in the billions. And facing a lot of challenges around it. But still, we do collect every piece of information that we can. And we try and make sense of it in order to optimize everything that we offer. First of all, build the right experience around it. And second, obviously, monetize it and help developers that work with us make more money. But again, it's mainly around the experience. And one of our products, for example, it's called Home Tab. You can look at it almost as a blank sheet. Once you install it, basically you don't see anything out of the ordinary. But the more you start using it, the smarter it gets. We start collecting data. We start analyzing. We see different patterns. We see your topics of interest. And it gets smarter and smarter and smarter all the time. You'll get very interesting pieces of content. You'll get recommendations for stuff that you didn't even think that you need to look for. And you'll also get advertising, or at least, and I think that what we're trying to promote is not advertising in the classic sense of it, but we want to be able to create this touch point and say, hey, this user likes this and that, has been there, and if you are essentially an advertiser, but if you have a very piece of content, product, whatever, this is the guy that you're looking for, we'll show you there and hope to get better engagement with the offering. And our application are, I think for us at least, they're specifically interesting because we have two different instances. We have the web and we have mobile. And mobile is something that's really emerging. It's growing. We've seen it grow for us. And mobile all of a sudden generates so much more data and data that is different than what we were used to seeing on the web. On the web, through our application, basically we're able to see the entire navigation and other parameters for a certain user. All of a sudden, if you can attach location to it, the nature of the applications that basically are almost your kind of mobile DNA, you know what the guy wants or what interests him, what he finds engaging. And when you connect both, all of a sudden you get something that is much richer, much more potential to be accurate around your offering and also create experiences that are much more exciting.
I want to take this one step further, still in marketing. We're talking a lot about, let's say, predictive marketing. Like Google working very hard not to give you search optimized to you that this is already happens, but to give you results that you don't know that you want yet. So are we going in marketing using data to a world where you know what I want before I know that I want it? Is it possible?
I think this is the holy grail, almost for everybody. I think if you look at even at Google, the results keep getting better and better all the time, but they're not yet at this point of like knowing what you're about to search before you've even done it. I think that's very exciting as a concept. It's definitely getting there. I know that some of the stuff that we're doing can actually provide you with this information.
Like if I'm reading the marketer and I read the Wall Street Journal, I suppose that some way I want, I don't know, sports site or extreme sports site or a cycling site.
For example, and I think it can even be more precise. You went and you visited a toy store, and we can get the location of this specific merchant. You search for something online or compare the price for something, and when you open your computer, all of a sudden you find the right product that you need to buy for for your kid at the right price, and you didn't actually go and search for it, but it's there, and I think in that sense, content discovery, but not only content, but really, knowledge discovery it's possible and it's getting there, and that would be the next big thing.
I also think that the perfect way of marketing is the perfect balance between what the user actually needs and what you show him, and so it's the perfect ad wouldn't be an ad. It would be something that the user needs right from the thing. I mean, not the derivatives of what he already looked at, and not something that is trying to convince you to buy something, but something that you actually need right now and going to save you time. That's the ideal advertising, something that you don't recognize as an advertising at all.
There's actually an acronym for this phenomenon, and I don't really know how implementable this is at current, but the big data people will say that the thing that they're searching for, they call it NPTB, next product to buy, meaning that they understand their current customers and their future customers to the extent that they say, if this number of customers bought product A, then product B, then we're going to use all this data to predict they're going to need product C, D, and E somewhere down the line. Maybe they have a child that's growing up, or they're tracking through seasons, or some other kind of sequential process. So the big data model says that in theory we can identify these product chains, and then actually then when we see a new customer tracking along one of those chains, we can propose that next product to buy to them very efficiently.
Last question in marketing that will take us to the next question. What do you think about television and offline? Are we going to see differentiation of advertising, or what we see today on the web on television? Different advertising to different people.
Personally, I think that we're going to see the same revolution that's happening in banner ads and RTBs going to television and getting personalized. I think there's the marketing industry today is like divided to old school advertising and new measurable advertising. And as soon as someone gives the tool to measure things offline, I think that's going to be so, the benefit is going to be so great that we will quite fast will stop seeing broadcast ads. That's my opinion.
Jeff, do you think going to be the end of broadcast, the end of everybody, or the segments, the end of segments, and we're going to have a media that is especially for each one of us?
Well, within the people I know, nobody actually watches television live anymore, and everybody records it, and they just skip over all of the advertising content. And the advertisers have, of course, figured this out, and they aim to make advertisements that are, in that first second or two, so appealing to you that you actually decide to actually watch it rather than skipping through it. But there's a real big challenge there of saying that this advertising model that supported television is going to go away unless there's a way for these ads to be something that is of dynamic immediate relevance to the audience, and the audience actually chooses to see it. The audience can very easily, effectively opt out of this by fast forwarding through the content.
I think it's not only marketing related, also when you look at the actual content. Today you are able to choose what you're watching, right? It's not, you don't have to sit in front of the TV and just watch whatever is on there. You have a lot of channels, but you also you can record stuff, and you have the web to watch it, and you have other platforms that will show you on-demand stuff. So it's already sort of personalized, and if the topic is data, collect this data, and then you know what to match to each profile. So if I'm watching something, regardless of however I'm consuming it, profile me, collect this data, see what I'm doing cross that with other stuff, and then you'll know what I should be offered in the right time. I think TV is still like the mass channel, but it is bound to change. It's a matter of infrastructure, and it's something that will take time, but it's the process is already in motion.
So we're talking about television, and I don't know if the change is here or is close, but what we see, lots of social media knowledge that connect between television and web, or between people and television. We saw just a few weeks ago, I think, Nielsen, that are here also in DLD, Nielsen starting to monitor people on Twitter talking about shows. Do you think, when Tal, you look from your industry, do you think all this knowledge, all the people that talked about, I don't know, the Big Brother, all this information going inside this retargeting?
Sure.
Advertising going back to me because I talked about whether I will see something that connects or...
It depends. Actually, this kind of example is actually not really possible because of the terms of service of Twitter. Nobody can engage you because you said something if he is not your friend.
If I say something somewhere in your system, you know it's me?
No. That's but all this is going to it's probably going there. So I guess that when Twitter opens their exchange, if they open their exchange, if they become part of the real-time bidding network, that the data itself is going to be something with a strong asset.
Everybody knows what the exchange is. You want to know? Right?
The exchange is actually like it's like a stock exchange, but for impressions, for ad impressions. So each time you visit YouTube or CNN or any other page with content, you'd get a small banner that you all know and learn to ignore. And basically, from the second you land on the page until you see the actual ad, there is bidding going on between all the players in the industry, saying, "I'll pay $1 for this impression. I'll pay $1.50."
That could be everywhere. New York Times, or CNN.com, or Huffington Post.
Basically, get like.
You buy the impression.
Yeah, and the exact impression and your response time for the price is a very short bid. It's like a 20 millisecond response time. These kind of limitations. So it's a crazy underworld of organizations collecting data and enhancing your profile. And it's quite amazing if you're not unaware of it. This underground world.
Let's talk a little bit. We will finish with advertising, the great industry of marketing, and let's talk a little bit about. We talked before the Internet of Things, putting internet in everything, from the bell on your door that when somebody clicked it go to the web, knows about him, gives you his Facebook, and you can ignore him. To the watch and everything. Jeff, can you tell us a little bit what is your vision, how you see things, data and Internet of Things collide? And can you tell us a little bit about your small chip over there?
Okay. All right. So the Internet of Things idea is that we're all going to start either carrying or deploying various little devices in all different sorts of ways. They're going to have their own addresses. They're going to be various kinds of sensors. They're going to passively measure and observe kinds of information. They're going to send it somewhere. It's going to be stored. It's going to be collected. It's going to be analyzed. And that's hopefully going to produce some positive results. So one of the things, I have this little device called a Fitbit that I carry in my pocket. This actually measures my physical activity. It tells me that, for example, today I have walked, it's on my East Coast time, so I've only walked 175 steps, and I've gone just a little over 0.08 miles because it's almost midnight. After midnight in my home time zone. So the Fitbit tells me my level of physical activity. I carry this around with me. When I'm home, I plug it into my base station, and it keeps a permanent record of how much walking I've done every day, how many times I've climbed and gone down the stairs. And the idea is that you can save up all this information over time. I really don't have any deep purpose in mind for having this information at present, other than I think it's really interesting to kind of observe your physical activity, and hopefully I can watch that over time and say, can I do things that actually kind of enhance the level of the amount of walking that I do? But I think the whole Internet of Things and this kind of personal data collection feeds directly into big data, and that we're going to collect this data. We might collect it for months or years before we actually figure out what it might really be useful for. And the model that we now have that says it's so inexpensive to store lots of data, let's just save it all, and at a certain point, let's then think, oh, you know what, now I'd like to measure this. I don't start collecting at that point. You say, I've already got a couple years worth of data. I can rewind the clock and say, let's go take a look from historically and see what that data is starting to tell us.